Boom. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, you guys can hear me now. There we go. Somebody comment. Tell me you can hear me. Alright, sweet. We got like 8 minutes. And then we're going to watch this Polaris live. See the new boosted Pro R. Looks like there might be a new expedition. Greg, are you late to it? You're saying there's no sound on Facebook. Why can everybody else hear me? Why are you the only one, Greg? Turn up your damn volume. Alright. It looks like Facebook and YouTube can both hear me, so I don't know. There's something wrong with your shit. Alright. Let's go over this one last time. Boosted Pro R, and I think they're going to do something with the Expedition. Maybe live valve, maybe something with a 3-cylinder. Who knows, man? Those teasers were hard to tell from. Might have to check out the new Expedition. I know, right? I mean, we all know we're getting... I want to see in the comments. Boosted Pro R? Like, is it going to be turbo or is it going to be supercharged? Because it almost sounded supercharged in the videos. Pure character turn around waving his hand. Thanks, Eric Dennis. Appreciate it, dog. Expedition getting dynamics and big screen. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think before they go motor change, they'll be doing something like that. Turbocharged, 400 horse. Alright.
If you only had a month left.
We're going to set up the live stream for the old TikTok. I've never done this before, so. Confirm, what? You want my facial? Well, we ain't doing it on here then. I ain't going to confirm all that crap. I'll do Instagram though. With a D, my guess is supercharged, DCT turbo, supercharged. Okay, so it's going back and forth. Guys, no one knows. We're all unsure. Alright. I guess I better get off of Joe Rogan here. We gotta go straight to Polaris' website here. That's sad when it doesn't pop up. Oh, wow. My own thing pop. Where's theirs? Where's their YouTube channel? Come on, man. That's crazy. What's it going to be under? And this is also crazy. There we go. Boom. I'm assuming this thing will start up here in about 5 minutes. Let's go back to the feed here. Ten time entries is still live on the giveaway. We all know we're getting a supercharged or turbo Pro R today, but you could just win mine. You could buy this hat and win it. Supercharged. Yeah, supercharged would be pretty awesome. Something different. I mean, it makes sense for what we're doing. What's up, dude? All the way from Oregon. Hoping for a badass Expedition refresh. I think you're going to get what you want. Cheers. Patent show a turbo. Turbos, I'm 95% certain it's going to be a turbo. From what I've seen and heard from people. Have you reached out to Cletus McFarland? Dang, I'd love to see him. I wish, man. I'm like nobody to him. I don't think he would really have any interest in collabing with me. I don't have much to offer. Yeah, we do both like mini jet boats though, and side by sides. I did meet him a couple times. Hung out at the Freedom Factory for one of the races. And I also got to hang out with him at his house. Drink some beers with him in his garage. Very nice fella. Reach out to Josh. I did reach out to Josh, or Jason, Josh, however you want to say it. I know I did before. I reached out again, actually, today. I sent them a DM. Let's see if they answered it. I doubt they did. They have to get 8 bazillion. If I get that many messages, they're getting an insane amount. No, they didn't answer it. I tried, though. Get the fuck out, Pep. Oh, easy. Sweet. Leo's in the chat. He's just going to watch. You got a beer, Leo? That's what I'm doing. What's up, guys, over on Instagram? We got multiple feeds going on over here, guys. Okay. We got like 2 minutes, man. Keep refreshing the sucker. I'm not crazy, right? It is like on Polaris's YouTube page that they're doing this. There you go. Smart man, Leo. Are you up in the UP, bro? You got freaking Ryan Winchester with you. When am I going back to the loop too? Hopefully no time soon. I'm pretty tired. It's a great place. I love that park. But yeah, we got Crashapalooza 6.5 going on September 17th through the 20th at Twisted Trails. That's the next thing. Yeah, Polaris is launching a new Pro R, most likely turbo, and they're probably doing something new with the Expedition. At least that's what they teased. FaceTime? Hell yeah. I got somebody that is there at the event. I got an insider. Is he going to give me a hookup beforehand? Let's FaceTime him. FaceTime me, Chris. Yes. That'll be badass. What's up, y'all? I know I haven't been paying any attention yet. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Refresh. Come on. It's on YouTube, right? God, the Player's website is back up. What am I? Come on, day. Website. Website is live. Got to do the website. I don't see no live stream on here. I think you crazy, bro. Alright. I'm not the most computer savvy guy in the world. Come on, what's the comment say? Where's Nick been? Another event this year. Where are you going to be? Ride. Alright, I got to get back to you guys. Somebody help me with this solution. It's published on their website. It's on Players. We got Chris, who's there FaceTiming right now. Alright, going to the website. Good. Oh.
Okay, let's start with you. You know, besides our engineers, you spent more time on the Razor, starting at the Razor, all the way down to the Polaris. So talk about the evolution of Razor. What do you think of the boost overall?
Yeah, thanks for to answer your question. My very first impression of the Polaris Boost.
I see it on here. But where's the live stream?
Yeah, to be honest, I've been rumblings of this for a little over a year now, some internal rumblings, and I'm super excited to be here in Nashville for the release of it. And we got to go take these things for a rip out, man. And my very first impression was relentless aggression. Like you mentioned, I've driven and raced every
Come
single
on,
Razor
man.
the Razor 800. And I think just over 12 years
Polaris
ago, we
just dropped the
set
boost
just
commercial
like this,
video.
where the XT1000 was released, and you guys turned the YouTube world.
Well, I also have the freaking live. Where is the camera? Can't really see shit though, but you can hear it.
But I'm not named it the Pro R Beast. Because that's exactly what it is, and it's a beast in the desert, and it's a beast in the dunes, which is where I love to ride. So it dominates in power, it dominates in suspension, and it dominates in technology as well. So I think one thing we all share in common here in this room is it's a good day to be.
Video. God damn it. I gotta turn this down. I'm getting overwhelmed, guys. There's too much going on here. Bad live stream. I'm new. And I got to change where this is going. Share screen. Nope. That's not what I wanted. We want to go to this. There we go. There we go. Let's bag this up. Thank you, Chris, for playing this FaceTime in the background. What are you doing, you damn? Share. Here we go. He gave the
Crazy horsepower, like the world has never seen. Refined, controlled, precise.
Why'd you look up there?
We will raise the bar and set an entirely new standard.
Look
Let
at
the new
the
era of horsepower begin.
Oh. Bill. Good mouth. Jesus. 275, a little like magnetic. How would be my turbo go on is 300. New radiator. Better. Here's one that's feel on one top cycle. Chris ended the race.
The brand that started the game is once again changing it. Razor Pro R Boost from the American off-road leaders at Polaris.
Let the new era of horsepower begin.
Okay, cool, but like 275 in my opinion is not a huge jump. Is there another video? Chris is sending me more stuff. What the hell? I don't care about that right now. Well, what are you doing to me, man? Alright, let's see what they got here. This is a walk around. Oh, it's on YouTube already? Oh.
Hey, Pat and Dave back for another episode of Shop Talk, where today it's all about
the Razor Pro R Boost.
Let the new era of horsepower begin. 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 Let the new
All right, so Dave, we
What's
got
your
this
guys'
beautiful new
opinion
Razor
here,
Pro R
man?
Boost in the shop
Come on,
today.
lay it on.
And just give us the high level. What's this thing all about?
Yeah, man, this has got to be one of the most anticipated side-by-sides to ever hit the market. I know
North
everyone
Star
out there has
Razor, we
been
didn't
waiting
want
for us
the
to
Boost
turbo the
Pro
Pro
R,
R.
bro.
And that's exactly
I
what we
hear you,
did
man.
in the Razor Pro R Boost. Man, this thing's got 275 horsepower. It has got unrivaled performance. It's got great technology. It's dripping in style. Man, this thing is a beast. It's the ultimate desert machine.
Nice. Now, how are we going to talk about this to give people just an idea of what the performance of this machine is like?
Yeah, well, we could talk all day, man, but I got something better set up for you. I'm going to show you.
All right, so Dave, we just made it out to the strip
Oh, wow.
to check
They're
out a
gonna
couple
line it
machines.
up
What do we got out
with
here
the
today?
Maverick on.
Yeah, well, you know,
Okay.
the first way you're going to check out the new Boost versus the competition is on the strip, right? We know everyone is going to want to do that, so we just figured let's line
Air
up. Let's do it
controlled
today, Pat.
CVT on
All right, now I'm excited to get to drive, so clearly I got the riding jersey on
while
here.
cruising.
What are you doing
No
out there?
dynamic.
Yeah, well,
Bobby?
I usually don't like to
No big
lose a
screen?
race, but since you're the host of the show, I'm going to give this one to you so you can experience the all-new Pro R Boost. But yeah, these things are both set up
They're the
in
big
stock
price tags and
configuration.
big horsepower. Make 1K with
stock
dynamics in these
air
things,
pressure
sell 'em.
in the tires. They're
Not
both
wrong,
full
bro.
of fuel, and they're all set to like the race mode or the Sport Plus mode. So these things are ready to line up.
Wow,
and,
look at that
give it a
giant
bump.
radiator on the back. I want HVAC too. What'd you miss? You missed that we're watching the Turbo Pro R. We're doing a comparison right now. I mean, it beat it, but barely. Also, like, talking about like things.
So Dave, I can't even believe how good that was. That was freaking sweet, man.
I told you, man, that thing is a
You can tell
blast.
they-
And the torque down low is the part that blew me away more than anything. Like, how low do you start building torque on this thing? And it kind of just seems like it holds it flat all the way from there up.
Yeah, man, our tagline is absolute horsepower, but it's not just a tagline. Like, this thing's got power all the time. It's awesome. So the key is, yes, it's got 275 horsepower, but it's when that's available and how much torque it has. Pat, I'm going to show you later the horsepower curves, and it's awesome because
sure
you
the Pro
have
R
the
probably
available
weighs a
power
little bit more.
at lower RPM. So 275 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. So it is clutched a little lower.
Yep.
So it's
7,000,
less
huh?
revs, less noise, right, than a Pro R. But the key
so
is the torque.
you do some clutching
so
and
it's got
tuning, you
220
crank those
foot-pounds of
RPMs up
torque
a little bit
at
more,
6,000
you'll get a lot more out of
Yeah.
it.
But it's got
That's what clutching phone.
215
They're
of
trying to
those
save that
foot-pounds of
power.
torque at 4,000 RPM. So you got 97% of your torque starting at 4,000 RPM. Man, that's
the
just
way.
like right
Level
off
deep,
of
honey.
clutch
You're probably not
engagement,
wrong.
and it holds
You know
that
what you
power
do?
to up to over 10,000 feet of elevation.
Take a
Man, this
shot
thing's
out
got
of it
power
and just
anytime
cry
you
about
need
it later.
Yeah, now I think it'd be good if we could show these guys some parts, but because there's so much to talk about, we got to break this up into kind of 3 different areas. So with that, we're going to grab some parts, start talking performance.
Power gain of
All right, Dave.
Yeah,
first thing
I
we
mean,
want to talk about
I'm
is
only
performance, and
pulling
what
like
better way to do it than
8
talking about
pounds
the
on
turbo on
mine.
this new rig,
But I
right?
got way more.
Yeah, man,
power.
we said we were
Which
going to
is
show you, so
way
let's just get
under
into the
20.
guts of it. Dude, this is the new turbo. Look how big it is.
Yeah, was the
This
Matt-
is
Matt
the new
Howard
turbo
one
on the Pro R
something? No.
Boost. A 2-liter engine, so it's pumping
point.
a lot of air and a lot of power. And for comparison, what you've got over here.
Does anybody?
Yeah, this is absolutely the turbo we've been running for many years. This is right off of a Pro XP. You know, it's off our 925cc, making 181 horsepower. This is kind of a tried and true, great little turbo. You know, it does a heck of a job on the engine we put it on. But
I don't know,
obviously
man.
not
You
big
told
enough
me
to
to
build the
275
power we're
and
looking
you're right,
for
you
on this
don't,
Pro
but
R
I
Boost.
Take my 300.
Now, I think we got to show these guys maybe what some of the differences are and kind of just easily how a turbo works, right? I think some people understand it, maybe not everybody. So if we spin this around, these are actually kind of the ports that bolt up to the engine. This is where the exhaust is going to start flowing in here. It's basically going to run through this squirrel cage on this side, spin that turbo compressor up. That's going to spin a shaft going through to the inlet side. We're basically pulling air in, compressing it, and shooting it into the motor this way. Now, the other things that you see here, the wastegate control is right here. It's connected to a rod, vacuum-operated wastegate. That's very similar in how that works. But when we go to the bigger turbo now, let's kind of show you what some of those differences look like here.
Thank you,
All
Bobby.
right, so starting off, when we look at where the airflow is in, clearly we got 4 ports here because it's a 4-cylinder engine. You'll notice that they're actually cut between them. That's to allow thermal expansion so that we can keep good sealing all the way across that head surface. Now, the other thing that you see is we got tons of built-in heat shielding on this turbo. Instead of trying to wrap it externally, it's right in the assembly. Makes it a little bit easier and really captures that heat and keeps it in where we need it to be. Now, we talked wastegate on the other one, still vacuum operated, still goes down a shaft, but when you look at this outlet of the exhaust, this is enormous.
Okay, because I want to show you guys something real quick and see if I can get it on the screen here. Because my insider, Chris, he's there right now, and he sent me a video of them talking about the Expedition. So let's listen to this.
Expedition is going to be the #1 vehicle in the entire crossover segment and represented nearly a third of all sales in that segment last year. More importantly, Expedition has driven over $200 million in EBIT profits since launch. Expedition customers love their vehicle. They have one major pain point.
Not him.
We hear it, and I'm happy to say we are now fixing it with an innovative solution that can only come from the best engineers in power sports.
Oh, they got a video for it, so we'll go click it. They're going to just show this. I'm sure it's on the website. It looks exactly the same. It's the black and gray camo. So they're just trying to bring down cab noise, man. We'll go over that here in a second. Let's go back to this. Let's hear them both smoke up our ass about how badass this turbo is.
Right now inside we've got 59 and 60 millimeter compressor fins on these things, but the cool thing about this wastegate and where it opens up is that it doesn't impact or impede the airflow coming out, so we get way more linear airflow through this guy to be able to handle the bigger power and higher airflow. Now, one of the other neat things on this one that's different that you don't see on the 925 turbo variant is that we've actually got an electronic blow-off valve on this one. So the cool thing about this is basically what controls the maximum pressure that you can build in the intake. So on this guy in front of me, basically there's a mechanical version of that, and it's set to 1 pressure. So when you hit that, anytime you go above it, it's just gonna dump all the extra pressure out and kind of waste it off, right? That's what a blow-off valve does. The cool thing with this electronic version is because we can now control that with the engine controller, we can basically set that for different driving scenarios. So if you're like on off the gas, getting kind of on off on again, we can actually hold that pressure a little higher so you don't have any turbo lag to deal with. And when you're climbing altitude, we can allow that pressure to build higher to compensate for that thinner air. So a lot of really cool technology beyond just being bigger on this new turbo. I think one of the other things people often ask, we don't obviously have any of the lines hooked up here, but both of these are actually liquid cooled turbos. So they have coolant lines going in and out as well as oil lines to keep them lubricated. All right, so we just got done covering off on a bunch of the changes on that big new Garrett turbo. Let's show everybody where that thing's located down here, Dave.
Yeah, so it's right here, Pat. You can see coming off the 4-cylinder engine. The turbo is off to the side here behind the heat shield, so it protects it from the elements. But you can see the heat shielding back there, the integrated cooling lines. But yeah, it's tucked right there.
Nice. All right, now the next thing we want to talk about is we think power flow. So we built that 275 horse. Now how do we get it down to the wheels? So clutches and belt are what's up next. While we're standing here, the thing you guys can probably notice right on the camera is this outlet duct right here. So this is actually from the drive clutch outlet. We'll show you where that comes off the clutch cover when we get to the interior. But tucked right above it, kind of right up here in front of the shock, you might be able to see it here, is the driven outlet. So both of these are actually kind of flowing back right toward the back of the vehicle now. They're not, shoved over the exhaust like they were on some of our other rigs to help cool that. So we've got two outlet ducts now. So that's new for this model. Now, if you follow me around to the inside, the one that I think people are used to seeing is up under the hood on a Pro R is where you start sucking air in. That comes down the tunnel and feeds into the driven here. So this is the first intake that everyone's used to seeing. Now when you come over to the other side, this upper clutch duct here, this is actually feeding cool air into the driven, and there's one right below it that's feeding into the drive. Now the other thing that you see coming out down here is the outlet for the drive. So that was that first duct I showed you in the back that you could see in the wheel well. That's coming out right here. So as you think now, we've got 3 intake ducts, we've got 2 exhaust ducts. The intakes are right up here on the passenger side. So clutch air is coming in from the passenger side, up on this pillar, as well as the hood, and then the outlet ducts are flowing out the driver's side, kind of behind the seat there. So we do have some clutches on the bench, so let's jump over to the table and we'll talk through all the changes and updates there for you guys. All right, so Dave, we got a set of clutches in front of me off of a regular Pro R 225 horsepower setup, and you've got a set of clutches and belt off this brand new Razor Pro R Boost, right?
I'd rather change the rubber band.
And visually looking at these, there's actually a lot of differences going on. So where do you want to start here?
Those Mavericks,
absolutely. Well, first, let's start with why we kept with the CVT. CVTs have been proven with Polaris for a long time. Between snowmobiles, side-by-sides, and ATVs. We just upped the game again with the highest horsepower CVT in the side-by-side market. But let's talk about some of those benefits. Why I got 5 or 6 right off the bat. Why a CVT? And one is faster, right?
Absolutely.
Just no delay, no shifting. The acceleration is faster. It runs in the power band, so it's got power all the time. Again, no delay. You just went through the turbos. We got no delay on the turbo and no delay in the driveline. So you come out of a corner, you got all that linear power. You got all that torque we talked about right when you want it all the time. Again, absolute power, right? So no interruption, no shifting, faster acceleration. It's easier to drive. You get in, you hit the pedal. There's no adjustment. You got throttle modes, but you don't have to worry about shifting or anything else. Right. It's just it's a direct line from power from the engine to the ground, and we just had to build it up to handle this much power.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Dave. And it just works, right? And I think, the Pro R is actually known for being a super reliable clutch and belt setup, and this Pro R Boost now is actually even better. So maybe let's start with the primary, since that's what your hands are on. And if we kind of hold the two up, I don't know if you guys will be able to catch this on the camera or not, but what you'll notice here is that the movable sheave, this outer one, is actually a smaller diameter than the stationary on the Pro R. Whereas those have grown actually to get a bigger diameter of usable surface that the belt can ride, and they're now the same diameter. So it's a brand new movable sheave on the Boost.
Yeah, that would have been badass.
As you think about the tuning components, so the weights and springs, those are obviously tuned for that lower RPM on this as well.
As you said, the price,
and if we flip over to the backside, this one is kind of really impossible probably to see on camera. But there's a brand new post interface to this stationary sheave. So although the stationary sheaves look very, very similar here, you can see the windage plate is on both. This post interface has actually been beefed up and stronger, so it's an updated design for the Boost model here. So
let's skip ahead a little
factory
bit
on this Pro R Boost.
Let's see the belt.
It's a thicker belt this way when you look at it. I don't know if you guys can actually pick up on that or not.
Well, they did
but there's an extra layer in this belt, so it's a little heavier when you pick it up, and it absolutely is longer because of the different diameters here. So it's a skosh wider this way. That's hard to see and pick up on. You can feel it if you kind of put your fingers across, but it's not a huge difference there. So overall, brand new belt part number for the Razor Pro R Boost. Now, the one visually I think you guys are going to be able to see the easiest is on the driven clutch, right? And if we hold these up, this is the one that, quite quickly you're going to realize just how much bigger the Boost version is. So this is a 293 millimeter diameter on the Pro R, and you've got
330 millimeters.
330. So it grew quite a bit. Now, the one thing you guys will see on a vehicle is that a lot of our clutches, like the end of the belt, always sticks up a little past the sheaves. On the Boost, it'll actually sit down in the sheaves a little bit. So that's completely normal. Even when you look at it, that visually will be a little different. But that's how it's supposed to be. So don't be too worried about that when you see it. Now, as you look at the fin geometry here, obviously we've got straight fins on the Pro R, which is really good for the airflow that goes through these clutches. It does a great job of making a fan and spinning a lot of that heat out. But because we added ducting and we added airflow both on the inlet and outlet side, we actually had to slow down how fast the air was coming off this clutch. So that's why these fins got curved, and we actually added more into it, right?
Yeah, speaking of visual, dude, look how badass that looks. You got 48 fins on that driven clutch because it's all about airflow. To keep the CVT durable. It's all about keeping it cool. So we did that with the fin design and that added airflow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other thing that you guys might pick up on is we've got a larger hole on here. So brand new service tool. It's located in the same spot as a Pro R, right built into that clutch cover behind the driver's seat. But it's now an 8 millimeter thread on that for opening up the clutch when you got to replace a belt. Now, Dave, if you don't mind spinning that outside sheave off. The other thing that I think we want to talk about with these guys is the helix shape. So the rollers here are basically identical between the two. You can see inside, those are what ride on the helix here. But if you look at the shape of this helix, you kind of see a big pocket, and then it comes up, and there's a different angle on here. So it actually has a different back drive than it does coming up. Now, when we look at the new one, you'll actually see that we've got parallel grooves here. So these are uniform spaced all the way up and down. And the beauty of that is you don't get that clunk as you start accelerating, right? That you've classically heard on a lot of Razors. Nothing's wrong with the vehicle when it does that. It's just the driven shuttling kind of back and forth with, across that helix. But the Pro R Boost, it just doesn't do that because it just rides up and down. It's actually really nice and quiet.
Everything but these.
If we flip this boost in the engine, we talked about how we get it through the clutches and belt. Next thing we got to talk is transmission, which is clearly, right back here, same spot as it is on a Pro R, right? The first thing that you'll notice here is that the shift linkage doesn't have the cover like a Pro R because we've got such good heat shielding off of the exhaust and the cooler lines. We've gone to the Gen 2 shifting, so it's super smooth gear to gear going through this transmission. And if you get up to the front, there's actually a liquid to liquid cooler now that's on the low temp cooling circuit that actually liquid cools the transmission versus just relying on air.
That's right. So that water goes up to the front of the vehicle, so that cools the transmission even at the high speeds.
Nice. So I guess maybe let's just quick touch on cooling since we're standing here and we got, a giant radiator right next to us here. So up top, this radiator.
This thing is giving off serious like Maverick R vibes, like with the hood scoop on the top, the radiator and all that stuff behind you. Yeah, very Maverick R-esque vibes there.
It's all about cooling the engine. But the one in the front that you're talking is the intercooler, right?
Yep.
So that flow goes, pump through that cooler, up through the intercooler, then down to the transmission. So we make sure to cool the engine first to get all the power on the intake, right? And then we go through the transmission. But temperatures on that are massively reduced versus a Pro R, right? Like the oil temps came way down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the benefit of that is splitting it apart is, like you said, we're cooling the engine for the high temps through the high flow, large radiator in the back. And like you mentioned, it's got the 2 fans. So that's sucking the air through, cooling the radiator, also blowing the air out of the engine compartment. But then we did put the transmission and the liquid to air intercooler in the front of the vehicle, so those get proper cooling as well. But there's not as much heat in the front, so the cab and the ride experience is a lot better. You don't have as much heat inside the cab area, so you'll feel that difference when you're driving.
All right, now the last thing to mention on the transmission before we walk over to the bench, you guys can't see it here, but we actually removed the peak torque limiter on the output that goes up to the front drive, which allowed us to basically beef up the front drive and the prop shaft getting there. So let's go talk front drives.
All right, that seems like a Pro. I know that's been kind of an issue with people in the Pro Rs. I know a couple people have broke those.
Next. All right, so getting up to the front drives now, Dave. Obviously, we got to start with power, where power flows into this thing, right? Which is where on this input shaft. And I think when you look at the one I got here off previous model year Pro Rs, you guys can see that there's a hole going right through these splines. So this one uses a roll pin to connect, and it's a little bit smaller. It's a smaller spline count. Now, when you look at yours, what do you got cooking?
Yeah, so this one actually has a pinch bolt. So the diameter of the shaft actually got larger, but then also it's got this groove here, so it's a pinch bolt. So it's a stronger joint and easier to work on.
Yeah, so I think, when you go from the input, then we got to talk output, right, which is going to allow us to beef up the half shafts. So again, when you go from this version to that version, splines get bigger and we've got a higher spline count. So pretty simply put there. Internally, what you guys can't see is that also allows us to go to a bigger ring and pinion. So Dave's got some upgrades on his side that I don't have here.
Which, I mean, I've had pretty good luck with my Pro R. My front diff took a poop in the first 100 miles, but I had one of the first gens. It was like those bolts were coming loose in there. And ever since then, I haven't had any issues, but I know a few people that have. I do know somebody that also took a rear end and put that as their front diff. And they said that fixed a lot of issues. I believe that was actually Bob Cycle.
Now visually, I think the one these guys can see, Dave, is around mounting, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't have the isolators in this, but these 2 huge holes are basically what hang this front drive off of a standard Pro R frame. Now, what do you have going on here?
So this one is actually rigidly mounted. So you got the same through bolts, but no longer isolators. It's just a tight joint. Then we also added 2 additional mounts from the bottom that go through the chassis into the front drive to manage that additional torque.
Now, the other thing that I think some guys might see that's different than some of the front drives we've talked about in other episodes of Shop Talk are these solenoids that mount on here. So this is a true one-to-one front drive, a little bit different than some of the on-demand ones that we've got on other models. But effectively, when this thing is not powered up, like if neither of these solenoids is connected, these are going to be in 3-wheel drive or an open front differential configuration. And basically, depending on which one of these 2 you power up, it's either going to fully unlock to give you 2-wheel drive or fully lock to give you 4-wheel drive. Now, The other thing, Dave, I think this drive is basically becoming obsolete, right?
Yeah, that's right. So with all the improvements for the Pro R Boost, it got bigger, the shafts are stronger, and the control mechanism, we're actually bringing this from Pro R Boost into Pro R as well. So, hey, even Pro R benefited from the Pro R Boost.
Nice. All right, so Dave, we covered off on a huge amount of details.
I don't know. Seems like a pro, but it seems like more stuff that could maybe go wrong.
Related to performance, right? Second pillar we want to talk through was design. So tell us a little bit about this Pro R Boost.
Yeah, man. Well, if it's got the performance, you got to look the part as well. So we threw a bunch of style at this thing. The first thing you're going to notice, obviously, that stands Pro R Boost apart is the roof scoop. We talked about the performance and how much airflow and cooling that we need. So we just integrate a roof scoop into it. So whether you're running an open cab like this, or if you put a windshield on the front and the back, you've still got all the necessary airflow. You don't have to buy any additional scoops or roofs. We just put that right into the design. And when we did that, you can see it's very well stylized. It's color matched. It goes with the vehicle, and it just flows.
That roof scoop provided 50 extra horsepower. It was nothing to do with that turbo.
It's a ton of air. Check out how big the opening is in the front, and that channels through. It's got a cool little kick down feature in the back here and a clear window in the back to catch that air and push it through the radiator. So it stands out on the trail. You can see that roof scoop, and windshield or not, you've got full power.
Yeah, and Dave, I think the big...
Yeah, good question. Put an aftermarket cage, like are they going to build crazy roof scoops into them, man? Like, I don't know.
The biggest thing I noticed when driving is not just the look of that stuff, but what you notice in the cockpit, in the cab, right? Is that because you don't have that high temp radiator in the front anymore, all that thermal loading is going to the back, so you stay way cooler inside this thing.
And don't get me wrong, guys, I might be dogging on this thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to probably get one. I mean, I'm giving away my Turbo Pro R, so I'm going to need something.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only does it look good, but the heat is in the back. And then just as we launch in model year 25, this still has those cabin fresh air intakes in the front here. So now the radiator is in the back, so there's not as much heat.
What's crazy is it looks like that exact same cage. They just bolted that goofy ass hood scoop onto it.
Heat in the front, but any heat that does accumulate there actually gets pushed out through the vents that are in the floor.
Yeah, Bobby, good point. They'll 100% last when you roll. You'll overheat on your way back.
These 360-degree adjustable vents, so you can open them and close them, but that gets all that stagnant air out of there. So you've got heating in the back, you got fresh air intakes. Oh, and never mind, we also have vented and heated seats. So not only does this thing rip, it's really, really comfortable, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other thing, Dave, if you don't mind reaching in and flipping the key on, I think one of the things we got to highlight, right, exists on the Pro R, but the animation of these front lights, right? You can see them dance up, the Fang lights go out to the LEDs, but like they look good and you know it's a Pro R or a Pro R Boost the instant that thing lights up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Razor's DNA is the Fang lights, and so we have that on the whole Pro lineup here. But
I was going to say, my Pro R does that. That doesn't mean it's boosted.
Between the Fang lights and the roof scoop, everyone will know that you have a
100% they'll know when they see that freaking roof scoop.
Pro R Boost.
So Dave, I think there's one other design element we got to talk about, and that's what are the color options available for this year on this new Razor Pro R Boost?
Yeah, man, well, it's got to look good, right? So let's start with this one right here. The biggest thing you might notice is...
Sorry to keep pausing it, but I just saw a 15-gallon tank in this thing. That's a must. I think before it wasn't even a full 10 gallons. And my Turbo Pro R eats that. So 15-gallon tank is a must. You can actually probably go to like China Wall and back now.
We actually color matched the fenders, which totally changes the profile and the look of the vehicle. You got a color matched gray body here. What's really cool about this color is it's stealth gray paint, but it's got a pearl blue clear coat over it. So you get it in the sun, especially that glamorous sun, and man, it really pops. Nice. We also have what we're calling crater gray, which is also really hot, really modern color with red accents. Then of course we've got
that crater gray is pretty badass. I think I like that one the most.
To have a black model. We got all blacked out model, the best canvas for your customization, but we're also bringing the new favorite ultra trim level. That is black and my personal favorite, gold accents.
Nice, and that gets all the features that.
That's got to be $70,000 then. Jesus.
The Pro R Ultra gets, right? That we did a whole video about already.
Yeah, well, we couldn't leave it alone completely. So it still has the Dynamics DVS. It still has the MPI steering wheel. It's got BF Goodrich tires. But we upped the game once again. And dude, we actually have factory carbon fiber on the Ultra and available as an accessory. I can't wait to show you that one.
Nice. All right, so one of the other things we got to talk about when we talked.
Show it to me.
Design is fuel tanks, because there's been some huge upgrades for this model.
That's a big difference. Wow, look at that. I mean, that other one could be just really flat. They're just holding it at the perfect angle.
Model year, including on the Pro R Boost. Now, what I've got here is a Pro R 4-seater. The 2-seater is actually pretty similar, but they're a little bit different from the past couple model years. Now, Dave, what do you got in front of you?
Yeah, so this is the new massive fuel tank. We added power. We wanted to add some capability as well. So going across the Pro lineup, so Pro XP, Pro S, Pro R, and Pro R Boost got larger fuel tanks this year. So on the 2
3 gallons, and the 2-seater was only 12. So a huge amount of fuel upgrade. So it should be a little less, times that you have to make a trip to the pump to get this thing gassed back up. All right, so Dave, we covered off on performance. We talked about design. Now it's all about technology. So we're sitting in the interior here. Let's start with the steering wheel and kind of work our way across this display and down and tell everybody all the awesome tech that's inside this thing.
I just got my 26 Pro R, and I've gotten used to the interior. So I'm curious, what could they really have changed? It was already badass. I'm assuming they didn't really change anything.
Yeah, man. Well, we've been adding tech year over year into the Razor lineup, because that's where the rider actually connects with the vehicle the most. So we just keep giving them features, and Pro R Boost here, it continues that trend. So yeah, let's start right in the cockpit, right? We have this telescoping steering with electronic controls on it. So you can control the audio system. Dude, we'll talk about that in a minute, but Bang & audio system.
It's the same. It's the same.
Left-hand controls here. On the right is where you can control your suspension modes. So from suspension modes, you got Baja, you got Track, you got Comfort, and Rock. Absolutely. And so you can control those modes right from the steering wheel. So on the fly, as you're driving down the trail, you can change. I like to go from...
I might be dogging on them again, but this is already, like I said, very sophisticated. It's top-of-the-line stuff, in my opinion, in a side-by-side. Can-Am doesn't have nothing like this. I mean, their Maverick R system, in my opinion, blows. It's like the ride command isn't built in or anything. They got that cool-ass screen on there. Don't really do much but tell you how fast you're going, your RPMs, and what music you're listening. Not even what music you're listening to, because Mav R doesn't even come with speakers. It's the same screen they have in the Defender, though.
Comfort to Baja pretty frequently based on the size of the terrain or the hits that you're doing. Also, the red button, my favorite, the Dynamics button, you press and hold that, it'll lock out the suspension into full firm. So if you have a big hit, you can hit that. You can also, last year we added, you double tap it, it'll lock it into full firm until you untap it again.
All right, now obviously we got this awesome screen as well, right? This thing's relatively brand new.
Yeah, just launched in November. This is the new 10.4-inch display in a portrait orientation, right? The great thing about that is the thing we use the most in off-road is mapping and our group ride. So having a portrait orientation gives you all this vertical distance of mapping so you can see that far ahead, or if you're in a group, you can see your whole group on that. I think last Shop Talk we measured it. So over 7 inches of mapping, over 8 inches of vertical height on the actual display. And because this is split screen, as you see here, is when we go to dynamic.
Yep, all the same stuff. It's pretty sweet, don't get me wrong, but it's the same stuff. You don't really need to change it.
Mix, or we go to our gauges.
Snappy.
Yeah, it's super. Those on the gauges. You can also put those on the map. So the rider really has their choice of what they'd like to see on the map or the gauges. It's really customizable across the board on what you.
I didn't see a boost gauge on there. That seems silly.
you see while you're driving.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing, right, you got all these options on the bottom. So we got this set up with dynamics, group ride, messages, a camera. Now, I think a lot of people, because this touchscreen is so seamless and it works so fast, they often forget that we actually have a row of physical buttons right below the display that can actually control this as well as the touchscreen.
Right. While the touchscreen is really nice in an off-road environment, it's nice to have some tactile actual buttons. So we seats, which is great when you're out on the trail. You can display. We actually have a digital communication between the screen and the amp. And this amp, man, we should have brought it out on speakers. So it's a momentary. The other side, gives a little bit more filtering for the more technical terrain.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the other one that you notice right away too when you start driving is just how buttery smooth the shifter is. It's consistent. It's easy.
I would love to test that theory because, oh my God, all your other models blow. Every one of them have issues. Like even my new 26, man, I freaking shifter being stiff and stuff. That two-way setup they put on there, it's been nothing but issues. I hope it's freaking buttery smooth, especially for the price.
Easy. You hit the gear you want every time. You want to go from reverse to low for technical riding, no problem. Right back to reverse. You want to rip it down to high or rack it back into park. Like super easy, whether the engine's running or not. This works awesome.
We've been moving this advancement in the transmission across the Razor line the last 2 years, and you're exactly right, Pat. It is smooth. You can feel every gear. Man, it's hop in, shift in gear. And we talked about the benefits of the CVT. You put it in gear, I like to put it in race mode and punch it. That's all. That's all you got to do. You all got to think about.
All right, so Dave, we covered off on performance, we covered off on design, we covered off on technology.
It's pretty much the baddest Razor we've ever built, right?
Absolutely. Hey, that's it for this episode of Shop Talk.
You freaking better be the baddest Razor. It's the most expensive, my brother. All right. Okay, we did the videos. Now let's kind of like go learn more. Let's actually check out this thing a little bit here. Check out some of the other models. I also want to check YouTube and see if they dropped any. And it's just really slow. There we go. Wow, that center console looks, you ain't gonna have a bag there no more. Carbon fiber accessories, that's cool. What in the French toast is this? I gotta see this. A light bar with pods on the side. When you didn't think it couldn't get crazy enough. Let's look at this thing. Come on, man. That's just bananas. I get it. Buy yourself a set of Sector 7 mirrors. I bet you that thing's expensive as hell. Let's compare models. Yep. Oh, here we go. All right, we got a list of all the new models here. 2027 Pro R 4 Boost. $53,999. I'm guessing that's for the base model. But honestly, not as much as I thought. It's super expensive, don't get me wrong. So non-boosted is 40, let's just say 48,000. Boosted is 54. Paying $6,000 for turbo for 50 horsepower. All right, $50,000 for this cream colored one. Let's just see what. All right, North Star Ranger 1500 Mountaineer edition. I bet you money this mountain, like 1500 steel belt edition, doesn't even last that much longer. I don't think they really like the steel belt. Wow, that's a hell of a color combo for the NA version. So NA 2-seater 44,000, boosted 50. Expedition ADV version. Wow, starting at 46,499. let's go click on this. Where's the Ultra? I don't see the Ultra. I'm going to click on this, though. Okay. Oh. Is this the Ultra? Where did I see that? Oh, right there. Boom. Dummy. Ultimate. Ultra. 2-seater. How much is this bad boy? That's what I want to know. Where are you hiding the price at? Oh, right there. I'm a dummy. $52,999. So $53,000. You can have a 2-seat boosted Ultra Pro R. That sounds pretty sweet. I hate that it's all black. Damn. The shifter was disconnected. You might be right there, Ed. It's a light bar to block your scoop. All right. He was looking for at the 4-seater for $54,000, $50,000. This shit is outrageous. Got to wait a year to actually get them for MSRP. No, you don't, Brian. Just head to Bob's Cycle. You'll get an actual good deal on them. 6K is cheaper than most at the moment. I'm sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Bobby from SEC Power Sports. If you wanted to go turbo your NA Pro R right now, it's costing you like $10,000. Probably at least. The turbo is not the limit that will build turbo. The dude is baked, and that's all right. Think it will wait. Yeah, wait for the giveaway, Ed. My Pro R is more horsepower. I mean, it's built to the gills. It's got everything you would need. Ultra, man, that's pretty badass. How much is a 4-seater Ultra? $57,000. Pretty outrageous. Ultimate. Man, I think I would pay that extra. I don't know. I haven't drove an Ultra, so I don't know if it's really that much better. You're paying thousands more to have sway bar dynamics. Nah. Take a shot about that one. Yucky. Dropped it. Blue's okay. I think that's the coolest. All black is a pain in the ass to keep clean. Okay. I know that let's go look at the Expedition. Let's see this BS that they laid out on us to keep it quieter. Same horsepower. They're calling it the pneumatic controlled CVT. Enclosed cabin cargo with lockable full doors and window. Yep. On board. Oh, so it creates onboard air. I believe Bobby was saying that. That's pretty badass. Same stereo system. Same shocks. Tip out. Yeah, pretty much everything's the same. It's just this. By reducing RPMs, pneumatic quiets engine noise to deliver a more comfortable ride, supporting long days on the trail with less fatigue. Yeah, because that's what wears me out, is how freaking loud it is. What do you got going on there? That looks big. Looks like it's going to... Also, holy bejesus, that's where it's located? How are you getting the clutch cover off? Reimage drive modes. Pneumatic delivers reinvented user-selectable drive modes to match your riding style, optimizing comfort across conditions without sacrificing performance. Cruise quietly and composed, or tap into responsive power with a ride that puts you in control. I know from driving the first gen of the Expeditions what I had to the newer ones with like the cruiser tunes they put in there for the clutches. I mean, they're so dogged down. I wonder if that's still how it is. Let's see the onboard air. That's pretty badass. With the integrated air compressor of pneumatic-controlled CVT, on-demand compressed air lets you adjust tire pressure, blow dirt and debris off gear, and unlocks the use of air-powered accessories. Built-in adaptability. I drank a little bit. That supports self-reliance and fuels your freedom to explore. It's cool. It's not much of a difference, though. My package, yeah, sent me badass, thanks. No problem, Joe. Talon will never get a good update. Yeah, you're dreaming, bro. I'm sorry. They realized they had a problem with the cab noise, and I wonder if this is truly going to fix it. I do not think so, Ed. But, I mean, we'll have to pay a visit at Bob Psycho and maybe do a little bit of a comparison. You can blow up your tent easier. That's the truth. My the hood scoop make more downforce so it stays on all four. No more flipping. I don't know about that. The cream does look fire. Someone sell me the stock turbo off their boost R. Need my it needs America edition. I hear ya. That would be pretty sweet. Going through the comments, reading them here. I've been paying attention to this. Okay, there has to be a video on it. Let's hear them lie to us real quick. Look at these guys trying to be all fancy. Oh, they got it on tracks. I still have a set of tracks I could put my Expedition on. Alright, let's see. Here it is. The reveal.
The all-new Polaris Expedition delivers the best in off-roading without compromise. An innovative pneumatic CVT system makes the ride up to 40% quieter.
That is a load of BS. I don't even have to drive in this thing to know that it's 40% quieter. No way.
With all-season comfort for year-round riding. And onboard air for wherever the
I love the location, how they did that.
day takes you. When a machine is this advanced, this comfortable, and this capable, there's no comparison.
That was it, huh? Alright, now let's hear the two dudes. They can lie to us for a little while. Oh man, I went too far back, my bad. Let's hear what they have to say about this thing.
Hey, Pat and Dave back for another episode of Shop Talk, where today we're talking about the all-new Polaris Expedition for model year 27. We got some sweet new tech on this rig, so stay tuned for more. So Dave, it's been a few years since we launched Polaris Expedition, and there's been a few things that have changed over time, but maybe kind of take us back. Why did we originally launch the Polaris Expedition in the first place?
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Great to be back with some awesome new product once again. From its debut, Polaris Expedition changed the game in side-by-sides. It was that perfect combination of trail-ready performance wrapped in the comfort of an enclosed cab, heat, and air conditioning.
Nice. Now, for model year 27, we've got some new technology that's coming forward kind of across the Polaris Expedition lineup, right?
Yeah, once again, Polaris is raising the bar in innovation, and this time we did it within the drive line. Today, we're going to preview what we're calling Pneumatics, a controlled CVT system. So we are now controlling the drive line, kind of like we do dynamics.
I was going to say, I heard pneumatics, I've heard dynamic. Clearly, I'm way more familiar with dynamics. Now, little play on words with pneumatics here.
You like what we did there?
I kind of do. You know, I like when I think pneumatics, I think air controlled or air. Is that kind of the pneumatic I'm thinking of?
Yeah, you know, you're a quick study. You're starting to catch on here pretty quick. So let's start with the controlled mechanism. So just like dynamics has an onboard suspension control module, we are doing something similar here, but it's a transmission control module. So basically it's taking the mechanical CVT and controlling it with pneumatics, which means it's got air control, air cylinder on it, doing the ratio control.
Nice. So yeah, normally when I think of a classic CVT, right, you kind of have one tune for low altitude, And maybe for those of you that are up in the mountains, you know, you got the high altitude weights and maybe spring that you got to swap out. Well, on this, it's literally changing all the time while you're driving, right?
We're talking, just like dynamics, again, 200 times a second. It's taking these inputs and adjusting the ratio of the CVT. But you're right, Pat. CVTs have been popular on side-by-sides and snowmobiles and ATVs for a long time because it is direct connection.
They better do a decibel reading in this damn video. Prove to me it's 40% quieter.
Connection, belt-driven, easy to tune, keeps you in the power, it's very responsive. There's a lot of things we like about the CVT, but it keeps you at a high RPM and a high power range all the time. So basically what this system does is it uses the
It's always the best, Ed. I don't know what you're talking about. It's the new of the new, man.
power that you need. So under acceleration, you got full acceleration. We actually improved the performance for 2027 because now
you actually improved the performance. I freaking hope so. You know what? This year, budget cuts. We made it worse.
we could control it. We improved the performance, but once you get up to speed, it's kind of like overdrive. It brings that RPM down. Yeah. The ultimate result is the whole ride gets a lot quieter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I drive a manual transmission car to work most days, and what I noticed when I took this out a couple weeks ago is really that kind of trail cruising speed, like, you know, 20 to 30, maybe 35 miles an hour. It's almost like I got my car in fifth gear, just lugging, kind of short shifting the thing. But what's really nice, both for the driver and passenger, is it's way easier to talk to the person sitting next to you. You know, just the quiet nature of the cab with this pneumatic system is really, really nice. So maybe kind of walk us through a little bit about what's going on. Like, how did we come up with that?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, you drive a manual transmission still?
Yeah, I own more than one.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, all right. That's your security system, right?
Yeah, like it turns out one of my kids can drive it, not the other one yet, and you know, no normal other human. So yeah, you don't be worried about locking it.
That is actually a great analogy though, because as a CVT, like it wants to be in its high power range, right? And so it's like revving up, and you got that full power. That's probably the fun.
Is it just me, or does it feel like they're lying to us? They're trying to sell us on this.
One thing about being in a manual is you can give it the power, you can downshift when you want it, but again, it will override and put you into overdrive when you need it. So it gives you the acceleration. We've got 3 modes on this, so the driver can adjust the flick of a switch between 3 modes, which we'll get into. But they, depending on their trail or their what they're doing with the vehicle and their preference, they can pick that drive mode, and then the vehicle will adjust. So it just makes the whole thing more quiet, more enjoyable, but it's still super sporty.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the coolest thing to me, you know, talking about driving a car that's manual versus being out on a dirt trail on one of these. Like, you know, my car, when I want to downshift to pass somebody, it takes a while because I got to shift and then get it back on the throttle. Here, like, push the skinny pedal and you're right back into it.
Okay, reading the comments here, this guy just said, later in the video they claim it's 8 decibels quieter. I don't sound like much. I don't know though. I can't with these guys. What are you talking about, man? A couple professionals. He looked at the camera like I said what I said. I don't, but I really have. 40% more.
Like, you don't even have to think about it. It just does everything for you, and it makes it kind of seamless.
Yeah, one of the biggest benefits of a CVT is no shifting, no delay, right? And this is the same thing, even though we are overriding the mechanical CVT system. Again, I said 200 times a second, it can do it like that. There's no downshifting. And if you think about what Polaris has done with CVTs, we've got a lot of innovation in CVTs. Now we're controlling CVTs, and if you saw the other...
You guys are killing me with these comments. Oh, that dude taught me geography in grade 6. They talk this much so you forget that it's all BS. Copy and paste from last year. It'd be nice to be cruising at 3K RPMs versus 45 to 5,500. I mean, you could be cruising at 5,500 RPMs. It's just, is the vehicle like insulated enough or whatever to like dampen that noise? I rode in some machines out at UTV Takeover, Utah last year, and they had like filled their fenders and everything with foam, like spray foam, and it deadened in all the noise. It was actually very quiet. More computer controls, more problems. I can see the air system giving you problems on the climb. You don't even have to think about it. It shifts for you. You're right, Bobby.
Shop talk. We're pushing up to 275 horsepower through a CVT. So a CVT is a proven system. Here, we are just actually controlling it, so you got better RPM, noise, and performance control.
Yeah, now Dave, I had a chance to talk to some of the guys in the shop a little bit and learn, a bit more about this air unit, the compressor, the onboard air tank. Now, are you the right guy to take us through all those details, or should we maybe go talk to one of the engineers and get a little more expertise today?
Well, like you, Pat, I can tell you how good this system is, but to tell you the details of the system, we're going to bring in the mastermind behind this, Ryan Tholen.
All right, so Ryan, thanks for coming to the shop today. Maybe for everybody at home, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Polaris.
Well, at Polaris, I am a transmission architect. So what that means, I spend a lot of time thinking about transmissions, whether it's these CVTs, continuously variable.
They got Jeffrey Dahmer building this shit.
Transmissions, our steel drive transmission in our Ranger XD 1500, or the gearboxes that show up all sorts of different places on our vehicles. That's what I spend my time thinking about.
Nice. Now, as you're thinking about that, obviously you're thinking about ways that we can always do things better, right? So before we get into that, maybe let's just take people through the basics of how a CVT works, right? You got some parts in front of you here, clearly for this vehicle, but maybe just kind of walk people through what a drive is, what a driven is, what a belt does, so that everybody's kind of grounded on mechanical CVTs.
Yeah, of course. So mechanical CVT system with a rubber belt, it's kind of simple and complex at the same time. It's a bunch of just mechanical parts. There are no electronics on this thing. There are no hydraulics. It's just mechanical parts. And the drive clutch has these springs and shift weights in it. The characteristics of those parts affect how the system reacts. The driven clutch has a helix and spring in it as well. And those two parts work together to balance each other in order to put the system at the right ratio it needs to be at the right time for the situation you're driving in.
Is this the engineer we bitch about when you're pulling the belt and you have to take a bunch of extra crap off? I think so, dude. This guy's a little creepy. I'm not gonna lie. It's basically a bunch of parts. They really just picked a guy off of the freaking assembly line and they're like, you. This is Zuckerberg energy. I really hope this dude don't see this video somehow, man. I'm sorry. I mean it, and it sounds all bad.
Yeah, so as I think about it, right, when you first start your engine and it's idling, basically the belt's not really spinning, right? This clutch is spinning around, this one's stationary, and as you push on the gas and rev up the engine, this one starts to close and clamp the belt, and then this one actually starts to open up, and they kind of play in unison of opening and closing, right, as you're going up hills, down hills, more throttle, less throttle.
Yep, that's correct. So when we think about...
I like how he said that as a question. The guy that's telling us all about the new machines is getting taught how they work.
Situations where you want to get a lot of power right away. This side, the driven side, is going to resist shifting. It's actually going to back shift a little bit depending on the situation so that you have high engine speed. Gets you into that peak power band for that maximum performance and responsiveness. But in situations where you don't quite need as much power, the system will shift up a little bit to bring your revs down a little bit. But one of the downsides with this mechanical CVT system is that the way it acts is dictated completely by these mechanical parts. You can't change those on the fly. This is spinning very fast.
Right, oh yeah, it's as fast as the engine's spinning, right?
Right.
So with that, for model year 27 now on the Polaris Expedition, I see you've got a spring and weights here. Those actually changed on this model for this model year, correct?
Correct.
And on the top of this drive clutch or primary, like this whole contraption is not what I'm used to seeing on one of these.
Ooh, damn. This thing better be 40% quieter. Oh my God, that looks terrible. If you have issues, oh my gosh, that looks terrible.
Good eye, Pat. So this is an air cylinder. Now that's what makes this different than your normal mechanical drive clutch. So we have a pretty simple air cylinder here with a airline connection for a stationary airline. The rest of this rotates at crankshaft speed. So you have a rotary union that allows that to happen. There's a piston inside and a seal on the backside.
So this is that rotary union. In the vehicle, it normally sits like this, right? Airline pointed straight.
Dude, I love Expeditions. But this seems insane just to make it quieter.
Straight up, and this thing can spin as fast as the engine spins, right?
Yep, that's right.
So that part's pretty awesome.
And this is our piston. We have an air cylinder seal design with a dust wiper lip to help keep the seal clean, keep the cylinder clean. This piston's made of aluminum. The rotor union fits into it, and then the whole assembly slides into our cylinder, and that comprises the air cylinder.
Got it. So simply put, there's an air line that would be connected to here on the vehicle. This
Good point, man. Does it, like, if you blow a belt, is that just gonna blow your air compressor line apart? Like, I don't know, man. That seems... winter states are going to have fun when the water gets in the line. 100% that will leak in 500 miles. Yeah, what happens if it starts leaking and failing? It's like, I guess it's just back to being loud.
It's stationary, right? It doesn't actually move while this is spinning.
Yep, correct. This is stationary. The rest of this is rotating at crankshaft speed.
Nice.
So we can feed that air in from outside the clutch box.
Got it. Now, with that said, you can't actually move this in both directions then, right?
Correct. The system only adds force. So if you think about...
This seems stupid. I don't even want it. Leave the onboard air? Cool. I like that part. Onboard air is awesome.
The way a mechanical CVT system works. And what I mentioned earlier about there's kind of one set of characteristics in these parts. A lot of times we like to think about performance, especially with a...
I see you guys saying water and stuff. Don't you think they've tested this? Polaris would never, ever release something too early.
Vehicle like this that has to be sporty, but also comfortable. It's hard to, you have to think about how you want to compromise between those two things. Well, if you tune a CVT system for maximum performance, that means that when you get in that throttle, it's going to put that engine speed right to the power band. That's where you're going to have your best acceleration. But when you have a system that's tuned that way, if you want to back it off, you want to cruise, you want to relax, you want to talk to your passenger, that type of a CVT tune is going to give you higher engine speed than you really need.
Right.
You're going to have more power available than you really need. And the downside is just that noise. On the flip side, if you tune this system so that it's nice and quiet in that mid-speed operating range, then when you want to get in the throttle and you want to accelerate and go hard, that system is going to struggle to get you into the power band of the engine. So like there's kind of a general performance versus noise trade-off that like you can come at it different ways, but at the end of the day, that's a real trade-off you have to think about in this strictly mechanical system.
Yeah, so I kind of think about it almost like a teeter-totter, right? You've got performance on one side, you've got quietness and comfort on the other, and where you put that fulcrum, you're kind of biased in one way versus the other, right? And depending on the vehicle, like a Razor, we maybe go way more to the performance side, whereas a Ranger is, you know, a little more toward the quiet comfort side. But on Polaris Expedition now with this pneumatic system, you can kind of slide that fulcrum wherever you want.
Right, exactly. With a flick of the drive mode switch in the cab, you can change the characteristics of the CVT to have that maximum performance or more that quiet cruising comfort.
Okay, so talking about those different drive modes, there's 3 different modes on this. Comfort, which is where I found it to be quite phenomenal.
I don't know. What's your guys' opinion? Let's just say hypothetically, this does work. It does work. It makes it quieter. Would you rather have all that crap? I mean, doesn't mean it doesn't break. It does actually make it quieter. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be mad if I bought a new Expedition, this was on there, and I took it off and then just had onboard air. That would be badass. I like that.
Right, because you're cruising around 20, 30, 40 miles an hour, and it's just that engine speed is way less than you're used to. What are the other 2 modes you can get into?
So there's sport mode, and in that case, this system is basically not active. You have your normal mechanical CVT, so from here on down. We're not doing anything with the pneumatic system, so this is your peak performance all the time. And with that, you are going to have those elevated engine speeds when you're in that cruising situation. You mentioned comfort mode. Comfort mode, the system is the most active. It's going to be constantly trying to pull the engine speed down, shift the CVT out, at least when you're not trying to be heavy in the throttle. Standard mode is a blend between the two. You know, you have some of that engine speed reduction, but the engine speed's held a little bit higher, so you have a little bit more power on tap for when you want to be switching back and forth on a twisty trail.
Good point, Bobby. SEC Power Sports. This will work, I'm sure, for like 80% of the customers that are driving down just back roads, dirt roads, stuff like that. This will be convenient for them because they're not putting enough wear and tear on them. And then some a-hole like me comes around and starts slamming this thing into some rocks, and they're like, my air compressor's leaking. Yeah.
Or something like that, but you're also trying to have a relaxed time with your passengers.
Yeah, and I think the cool part to me is that whether you're in, you know, comfort or standard, right, before you get up to sport, you can be in that, you know, kind of quarter throttle cruising speed, but when you punch that throttle to the floor, this system basically backs off, the mechanical bits take over, and the engine revs up and you get the power you're demanding, right?
Yeah, that's right, Pat. Even when you're in comfort mode and the system is...
I'm kind of with you, Matthew. I just think it's a lot of engineering to make a machine quieter. That, like, in my opinion, it wasn't the quietest, but none of these should be. I mean, they're sport machines. I mean, hop in my Pro R, if you didn't have rugged radios, you wouldn't be able to talk to each other, and it's a two-seater. I mean, give and take there, man. I would rather have a sporty-ass enclosed machine, even if I couldn't talk to my passengers in the back.
Shift it out, you got that low, nice cruising engine speed, that quiet speed. If you say, I want to go fast right now, and you push that pedal to the floor, the system will detect that, and it will drop out of that comfort type of a zone. It'll bring the engine speed up, you'll go into the power band, and you'll get that acceleration you want. But then, when you're done doing that, you back off, it'll go right back into that comfort setting.
Okay, so now this is where a lot of the I'll say, controls and complexity come into this system, right, is on this side of the bench. Now, starting off, we've got pretty standard electronic controller, right? Looks just like the one we use on dynamics, but now for pneumatics.
Correct.
But as we get to this whole setup, kind of walk us through.
What? You got a whole, like, ECU for that thing? Let's be honest, we needed rugged radios in the Expedition. If you ain't in the front seat, like, I'm not going to say that the back seat isn't loud, but, like, I don't know. I don't think this... I might be wrong. This could be the answer. I just have a hard time believing that. We'll see, though. It will drop out and go right into limp mode. It better not. That would be terrible. I was in a brand new Expedition a few days ago, and I didn't find that the noise that bad coming from a Maverick Sport. See, my point exactly, man. My Pro R is so hot inside the cab in the summer, you can't even ride in it. Horrible. You gotta toughen up, my brother. I'm sorry. Like... They're hot, but I mean, they ain't that hot. Stay tuned for the sporty version in a year or two. I mean, we've already made a sporty version, dude. You did. You did, SEC Power Sports. Maybe installation would have been easier. I agree, Chad. I think installation would be a lot easier. And I seen it at UTV Takeover. The proof was in the pudding. They literally insulated all the hollow spots, like in the fenders and everything, quiet it way down. How about putting a 3-cylinder and more power? I think you're still going to run into cab noise. I don't think you're going to get away from that.
Through all the different parts that go into this to make this pneumatic system work.
Yeah, so this is the power behind pneumatics. So we talk about an air cylinder on the clutch. Well, this is our supply of compressed air. We call this our air supply unit. And again, it's a relatively simple system, though there's quite a bit going on with it. So we have an electric air compressor, we have an air storage tank, and then a valve block. So this system works very much like the typical compressor you might find in a garage or a shop, at least this part of it. We have a compressor that manages the pressure in this tank to make sure that there's compressed air available. And then the valve block controls where that air goes and basically functions as a high-speed, high-precision pressure regulator that's constantly adjusting the pressure in this cylinder to give the force needed to make the system behave in the way we calibrate it to. This system is designed for an off-road environment We've taken these things to the Florida coast.
Thank God they made it for an off-road environment. I mean, it'd be wild to make it for the road.
The southeast and the humidity and the heat. We've taken them to the deserts. We've taken them to the mountains. We've had them in the snow. We've exposed them to the harsh winters of Roseau, Minnesota. We've shaken them. We've dunked them. We put them in mud. We've run them through many miles at our Polaris proving grounds in Texas. So it's yeah, it's not quite your garage air compressor setup. It's actually designed to work in one of these things.
Right. Now, there's a few cool features that you were talking to me.
I feel like this dude heard us talking crap. I mean, we'll see.
Kind of before we started filming here that I want to make sure people on the other side of the screen know about as well. There's an intake line that we don't have here, but this is a filter, right, to keep kind of dust and debris out. And then this guy right here, actually the water separator.
You know how nothing's going to get in there? That sweet zip tie.
Basically, right?
It's an air dryer. Compressed air moisture problem compressor. This is a little bit different than air dryers that you might find in shop compressed air equipment. It has desiccant in it, desiccant beads, but they're not the type of beads that just absorb moisture and have to be changed. The moisture actually sticks to the outside of these beads, and then there's a purge valve system that can actually remove that moisture from the beads, regenerating the dryer, and it can keep pulling more moisture out.
Nice.
Sounds like everything we just bitched about they might have thought about. If it actually works, though, we don't know.
So basically, normally air is flowing into this thing one way, but when it regenerates, it's basically reversing that flow to push the moisture back out?
Yep, correct. We push the moisture out this auxiliary exhaust port, and it's all managed by the controller. The system will seamlessly purge as it needs to.
Now, this looks like a massive ground wire to me, but it's actually a temperature sensor inside, right?
That's right.
And what are we using that for on the compressor?
So this temperature sensor, in conjunction with the software on the transmission control module, will actually monitor the temperature of the compressor at all times. So with that, you get a self-protection of the system. You think about people may have experience with electric air compressors in the past. Some of those very simple systems. Heat is the enemy of these things. The system is designed to handle the heat within the vehicle, and on top of that, monitor its condition so that it can protect itself should there be a situation that exposes it to more heat than what it's designed for.
One of the other things, if I flip this up and you look at the valve body, right, you've got a bunch of different valves on here and airlines moving different places. We don't have all of them plugged in for the benchtop setup here. But beyond just controlling the clutch, you also have air that's on the vehicle for the operator, right?
That's correct. We thought, hey, we're used to using air accessories and things, tires, stuff like that. We have onboard air. Why not make that available for someone to use?
All right, now this is...
Dude, I've never heard somebody talk so creepy while explaining like UTV stuff or just off-road stuff in general.
Maybe one of the trickiest parts on here is where is that located on this Polaris Expedition?
It's located right behind this panel here on the fender. So we simply pull that off. And then we have our auxiliary air hose.
Nice. All right, and this thing, I mean, simple little latch here, right? You just push it on, slide it off, and when you want to put this...
That's how it comes already, my brother. You guys didn't do nothing different.
Back together when you're ready to go back riding again. Take these little ears, line them up with these. That's how you know where to put it to get it in right. So Ryan, as we think about, that onboard air, obviously, we're not expecting people to use that for running, air tools or things like that. But
nope, can't run it.
What the fuck?
Jackhammer with it.
But as
I don't need a jackhammer, but it'd be pretty. I don't know.
You think about like a normal use case, right? Of you just got done rock crawling or coming out of the sand and you got to air your tires back up. Can you run it long enough to be able to do all 4 tires, or do you have to like do one, have a snack, come back, do the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. There should be enough compressor capacity and runtime here to comfortably air up a few PSI in all your tires. And you think about like a rock crawling situation, if you're...
You say a few PSI in each tire? Like you couldn't fill a tire? Like you just gotta leave your car running?
In sand, you want to air down your tires a little bit, but then you want to get back on the trail, you want to pump them up. Well, the system is designed to do that pretty well. It's a relatively low flow compressor and relatively high pressure, which is pretty well suited for that type of an application.
I mean, it looks kind of simple, but it does a lot of really neat things.
Yeah, there's a lot of little tidbits buried here. I mean, the
I love that he said it seems super simple.
compressor is mounted on isolators that are very much tuned for this specific compressor. So with that, the system is very quiet. When you're driving the vehicle, pretty hard to detect when it's running and when it's not running.
We do lock it out when the engine's not running because it does draw a lot of electrical power, right? Like you have to have the engine on if you want to air up your tires or for this to run. And I think there's also some other cool modes when you think about like this valve body, right? You mentioned running in the snow in really cold conditions up north. What are some of the things that we're doing here, you know, to deal with that potential water or icing in the lines?
Right. So I mentioned earlier the strategy around the air dryer, purging the air dryer, make sure the air dryer is always ready to pull moisture out of the incoming air. We also run heat cycles through our valve block. If we detect that the temperature is below certain thresholds, we'll actually tell the user that the transmission is cold on the display. And we'll run a heat cycle through this valve block just to ensure everything is warmed up and ready to go. The vehicle's totally usable during that time. It's a relatively short amount of time.
Polaris built the most sophisticated air compressor ever by the sounds of it.
You will have your slightly higher engine speed during that time because we'll be in more of a sport mode.
Sure.
But once that covers its warm-up cycle, it'll flip right back into the mode you are, and it's pretty much seamless.
Nice.
And then you won't have to worry about things like freezing or degraded function due to cold weather.
Yeah, so I know when we first launched Dynamics, one of the questions we got a lot was, hey, you got all this added electronics and complexity, like what happens if anything goes wrong? Kind of the same thing here, you know, what happens if, you know, one of your wires breaks or you blow an airline off or something like that? Like what does the system default to?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it being built on top of a mechanical CVT that still works as a mechanical CVT. In engineering, we in this case, say we don't have air pressure in the clutch, it's going to work just like a normal mechanical CVT. The vehicle will be drivable, you can drive it out. In many cases, a fault or a failure on the system is sort of a situation where it's like, see your dealer at earliest convenience, not a tow home, walk home type of a situation.
Nice. So when you think about it, like it basically does everything the normal mechanical CVT does, plus adds a whole layer of added benefits that only make the machine better, right?
Right. And also, you don't really have to think about a ton while you're driving. If you want to be quiet and comfortable, flip the switch to that. If you're doing that and you also want to go fast, it'll do that. If you want to go fast all the time, sport mode. If you want a blend of everything, standard mode.
I want RPMs. How many RPMs is it pulling? Like in sport mode? Because I know with the old models when they did the cruiser tune, it was so dogged down.
It just kind of works.
Nice. Well, Ryan, appreciate you coming into the shop. I think we're going to invite Dave back, jump in the cockpit, show these people kind of what those different switches look like, and then we'll wrap this episode up.
Great, thanks, Pat.
All right, so Dave, we just heard all the technical nitty-gritty from...
Jake's going to beat me to a boosted Pro R. Bro, I've had a boosted Pro R for a long time.
Ryan, about how this pneumatic system works. And now we jumped in the cockpit because there's a couple differences that you've got on the dashboard, right? As well as kind of the user interface controls on this.
All right, before we get to this, Ed said they're just prepping us for failure. I mean, they're letting you know what happens when it does fail.
Machine. So let's start off with this switch that's labeled Comfort, Standard, and Sport. When you flip that up to Comfort, what are you going to notice as a driver?
Comfort is probably where you're going to find yourself riding in the most. This is where pneumatics is intervening the most, meaning that you still have the performance. If you hit the skinny pedal on the right, it's going to have full acceleration. You got the available full power, but it's going to intervene anytime that you don't need.
We'll see if he beats me. You don't think I've already talked to my guy?
That full power, you get up to speed, it's going to bring the RPM down. That's most of the time where you're going to be driving on trails or on flat terrain.
Like how much does it drop the noise level in that Comfort mode compared to previous Polaris Expedition?
It's significant. If you think about, we're dropping the RPM, which is the biggest source of the noise, right? Is the engine RPM. We're dropping it significantly. So
yeah, which is power loss. Like I would rather have the power than it be quieter.
Measured at 35 miles an hour, which is usually cruising speed about. We dropped at 9 dB, which is about 40% reduction in noise.
Huge. I mean, enough that if we got full face helmets on, we can talk at this volume level and not need to yell at each other.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, because tons of people are wearing full face helmets in their expeditions. I wear them in my truck every day. I go to the gas station.
All right, now flipping this down one to the middle, we got standard. Kind of what's the experience for the driver in standard mode?
Yeah, so standard is you're going to have that same acceleration. It's still going to intervene, but not as much or as aggressively as comfort. Comfort is going to back down that RPM a little bit earlier, a little bit more. Standard will keep you at a little higher RPM.
Do the math for me, Ed. If that's 40%, what are they saying is the max decibels of inside of an expedition? If 9 decibels lower is 40%, I mean, well, they're trying to say it's only 20 decibels in there? No way.
Just be a little more.
That was a lot of bro science that was sitting in my head, so I'm talking on my butt.
Playful.
Yeah, and when I took this out a couple weeks ago, this mode to me reminded me of like a model year 25 or 20.
Sorry, guys. My buddy did the low RPM kit in their X. Per my recommendation, it's a dog. Yeah, it turns it into a dog. You have no high RPMs. So slow, but it is a lot quieter. Also drop 9 horsepower. For every decibel you lose 1 horsepower. Why are you putting me on the spot? I don't want no decibel math. It's simple math. It's like what I just said. They're saying that thing's basically like 20 decibels. I don't know if sound enough, but I don't think it's only 20 decibels inside. We'll see though. That's a future video for me. Decibel readings. I have a Turbo Expedition. I could do some testing on that. Do it in one of the new ones. And maybe one of the older gens. I know some people with those.
26 Polaris Expedition. It was kind of what I was used to a little bit, right? And then when you flip this down to sport, that's where things kind of wake up a little more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So sport is essentially turning pneumatics off. So it's saying, let's just use the mechanical bits. Now with that part, Ryan mentioned for model year 27, we did change those mechanical bits. So the weights and springs did change. We actually got a little more acceleration, a little more performance out of model year.
Yeah, because you just went from the cruiser tune compared to the very first year of your expeditions.
27 Polaris Expedition. So sport mode, no pneumatics. That's just when you want the full power, full jam all the time. Not worried about the noise. You run in sport.
All right, I'm putting this thing back to comfort. Now, the other thing I think we got to talk about is the Gen 2 transmission, right? You got updated shifting for this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've taken the changes that we've put into Ranger and now into Razor, put that into Polaris Expedition here as well. So check this out. Just a lot smoother. Shifting is butter.
This is hit the gear you want every.
I never had any issues in my Expedition. The shifting was always fine. Pro R is the only model I've ever had issues, and that has the 2-way like cable system on it.
Time.
Yep, positive engagement, smoother, easier on effort. You know what gear you're in, so a lot better shifting.
Now I noticed you actually shifted this thing into low gear. How does pneumatics work when you're in low gear versus high gear?
Yeah, so pneumatics works in high gear and low gear. It's working all the time. There's a couple of really cool benefits though that apply to low gear. So 2 things that come to mind is in low gear, let's say you're doing some rock crawling or more technical riding. Not only does pneumatics, influence the CVT when you're at the cruising speed and bring down the RPM, but as Ryan mentioned, it's actually inserting force on the clutch. So think about rock crawling or high torque situations. It's actually putting force on the clutch, which means...
Okay, I can get down with that. That makes sense, because that is one of the downsides to the Expedition, especially when you put long travel and everything on it. It's really heavy. It's hard to make it to where you can rip down the trail efficiently while doing low speed rock crawling with that much weight. They might be onto something there.
Clutch on or force on the belt, and that's going to allow you to go over those big obstacles. So it protects your...
That's where the turbo comes into play, though, because I basically have the cruiser tune almost I basically do in the turbo because there's so much power I can feel all the weights. I always have great belt tension, but if you don't have a turbo, this crazy air compressor thing might be the way.
Your belt gets more torque to the ground and just makes that slow speed drivability a lot better. The other thing is in low range, a lot of times if you're going obstacle to obstacle, you know, you're going to shift into high gear because you don't want to be revving to the moon. Well, we got controls of the RPM now, right? So if you get through one rock pile, you're cruising to the next, you can actually leave it in low range because pneumatics is going to, again, it's going to intervene. It's going to drop that RPM. So even though it's a low ratio, high torque, low ratio, it's going to bring those RPMs down. So it's a lot more enjoyable. You can actually use low range more often now, and it's really great for rock crawling.
Nice. All right, now we got to shift this thing back into park because there's one other switch that's labeled air down here on the dash, right? But tell us what that one's all about.
Yeah, that one's self-explanatory, Pat. That one's air. That is the air compressor. Ryan stole my thunder by showing off the hose. But how cool. I mean, think about how many times are you on the trail that you could use compressed air, right?
Oh, not me. Just
no,
yeah.
Yeah. They're running out of stuff to say. I'm going to go over some of the comments real quick. F it, drop an LS in it. That's what the Pro R is eventually going to get to. Zach, what does your Expedition make with the turbo on it? I don't really know yet. That's all up in the air because we just revamped it. Bobby, SEC Power Sports, fully built the motor. Well, him and a couple other people. It should be able to sustain up to 300 horsepower, though. Same here. Shifting was already fine. Yep, I agree, my brother. 9 decibels are a lot of dBs. The good part is that when you want the power, just flip the switch. Bobby's sold on this thing. He's yeah, I think he's the only one saying positive stuff in here, but he might be onto something, man. What else do we got? So the max volume is 23 or 24. Chad Proctor did the decibel math for me. If 9 decibels is 40%. So max volume 23, 24. I don't believe that. Side by side bros, it's more like 36. I agree. Probably. I don't know. 20 decibels on the inside is complete and lie. I would agree. We're going to have to do some testing on that. I feel like we do. What else do we got here? Nice. Well, would you recommend the turbo on the X? Depends on what you want to do with it. The Expedition with a turbo is almost everything I would want in a machine. It's very comfortable. It's got plenty of power. Man, there's so many pros to a turbo Expedition. It's just like that one con. You're losing the dependability that you get. So you're kind of, it's not how it is out of the box. So you're always dancing with the devil. These two guys talking about air. Sorry, someone is about to blow a bell, and I don't know which one is named Bell. Interesting. Turbo, though, I would, on an Expedition, just depends on what type of riding you're doing, man. Is it awesome? 100%. I mean, an aftermarket Assassin's Stage 4 tune with your turbo, you're pushing like 205 horsepower. Some of the most fun I've had in that vehicle. It's pretty sick.
Never.
It's always your buddy that gets a flat tire.
Yeah,
it's never
course,
you. It's always your buddy. But when your buddy gets a flat tire, then you can roll up and save him because you've got the compressed air.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing here is like we clearly don't have this engine running, so you guys can see it's flashing fast at us with the backlight. That's basically telling us, hey, you need to start the engine up, get it in park, and then hit the switch so that it'll actually turn that air compressor on.
Super cool. Now you can fill tires, and then we have a line of accessories coming out as well. Polaris engineered accessories to hook up to that hose. So we got a water tank coming, a few other things. So compressed air, compressed water. There's a lot you can do with the compressed air. It's
nice.
cool.
And I think on this, it'll run for about a half dozen minutes and shut off. You don't have to worry about flipping that switch again, right?
Yeah, no worries. Yep.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, I think Dave, Ryan, just want to say a huge thanks to you guys for coming into the shop, taking us all through the new model year 27 Polaris Expedition with the new pneumatics technology. That's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Make sure you guys like, comment.
All right, so looks like we made it. It looks like the two things they did was this pneumatic or whatever air to the friggin' Expedition and the boosted Pro R. We didn't even. I feel like we spent more time on this air compressor than anything else because it was just so weird. The boosted Pro R. I'm a little surprised they did the Ultra. Mostly because they only made so many of the last version, and they were hella expensive. And now you're telling me I can go buy one with a turbo, and I think it's less than what the last version was. I don't know. It's hard to say there. Am I excited? 100%. What do I think is the dumbest thing about it? That really stupid hood scoop that they got going on. Supposed to be no VV. These two guys are talking about. Yeah. A little anticlimactic, I feel like, on the boosted Pro R. Especially because they totally honey-dicked us. They did some of those ads online where it was like, when this person broke the 300-mile point in vehicles or whatever. And it's like, dude, that should be 300 horsepower. In my opinion. That's where I saw it going. You need better bearings, especially on the 1000 Rangers. Did they say water tank? Are they going to give it a shower function? I don't think so. That would be crazy. I did do a couple shots during this live stream, but I don't remember hearing no water tank function. All I heard them say was something about some butt beads being able to not like hold water. It stays on the outside. They got a heater. Keep the compressor good. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's sweet. They're taking this Pro R build that they've been since 22 making, and they just keep chipping away, making it a little bit better and better. I like how they still have your NA version. You got your turbo. I don't know. I think there's a bunch of potential on the board there. I'm sure with a little bit of ECU tuning and some clutch work, you could probably make that Turbo Pro R out of the box. If it's got a 60mm turbo, I mean, that's like what I'm running. I'm sure there's a lot on the table. Does it have forged pistons, all that stuff? Who knows? I would hope so. But yeah, I think that's a wrap, guys. I don't know what else to really cover. I'll go back up to the Polaris home screen real quick. Let me just... vehicles. Let's just see if they've changed anything else. All right, 2027 Ranger 1000. 14,500. They still got their Generals. 23,000. A Razor XP. 20 grand. Not a bad deal. Ranger XP 1000 North Star, 30 grand. Expeditions starting at 41,500. Ranger 600s. Wow, that thing looks dorky as hell. 20 grand for North Star. 1500 starting at 41,499. Okay, yep. Yeah, we pretty much covered it. We did it all. I'll check their website or their YouTube page one last time. They suck. They have not updated anything. All they did, yeah, wow, hella disappointing. It is what it is, though. Appreciates for, wonder why they can't build it quiet without the air clutch. Who needs the added complexity? I don't know. Apparently it's rocket science. We can go to the moon and back. We can get internet from space. But to make a quiet expedition requires billions of dollars. I'm going to look for another Arctic Cat XX for Blair to drive. How about you look for something for you to drive, Ed? Come on. All right, that's a wrap. What turbo kit am I running? Aftermarket Assassins. That's what it's on the Pro R and the Expedition. That Pro R, though, turboed, 350 horsepower. I mean, that's 75 horsepower more than this $60,000 machine you could go buy from your dealer right now. And I'm giving it away. You can win it by just buying a hat, t-shirt, hoodie, whatever at dirtyzootv.com. Got enough clothes? Head to EQOutdoors.us, where they got like 7,000 off-road products to choose from. Talking recovery kits, whips, rims, tires, whatever it may be. They got it for you. But appreciate you guys for being on live stream, having a couple of drinks with me, seeing all the new models. Y'all are the bomb. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.